On the third day of pleasure, my true love gave to me priorities and a sex den to know one, true love and trust and erotic sovereignty. Welcome to the 12 days of pleasure where you get to see me sing like ridiculously as I am, and where we get to really chat and get really juicy around pleasure tips. So every day for the next, when we have another 10 days, I'm going to be giving you a sex mastery tip, something that I've found with over close to 2 decades now of eroticism. Sex mastery, pleasure mastery. How can you bring more pleasure into your body, into you, into your being? So today we are going to talk about prioritization of pleasure. And I want you to just take a moment to drop into this question. What am I afraid of that's stopping me from prioritizing my pleasure? So let me tell you a little story. This actually happened this morning, funny enough. So every day on my calendar for the past 3 years, I've had self-pleasure in the morning as a priority. And it's something that I do before I work, before I call someone, before I turn on my phone, right? Like, this self-pleasure practice is key to my existence. It's key to my creation because it taps me into the oneness that we spoke about yesterday of who I am. So it's what's really interesting is even in the prioritization of it, I'll still find myself having these moments of not really wanting to. Like this morning, I was having all these great work ideas and I wanted to go with that flow. I wanted to just start working at 9 o'clock. I didn't want to sit down and touch myself and turn on music and feel that juiciness again. I wasn't in the mood for it, right? And the old Genevieve and a lot of my clients, what we would do when we're not feeling in the mood is we just stop and we go, oh, I wasn't in the mood, right? So I'm going to wait for the mood. I want you to see self-pleasure a lot like how you see exercise. Have any of you guys ever been on like an exercise regimen where every single day you have to go and you have to work out? And some days you're really excited. Most days you're like, no, I don't really want to do it, right? Not really in the mood. So this is normal. And this is something that happens, and it almost appears that we put this disconnect in order for us to find the challenge between who we really are and the part that we play, right? The grumpy character, the person with all the personalities, with all the stuff, with all the struggle, right? That's almost easier for us to jump into during the day than jumping into our full sexual aliveness. And we've set up things that make it difficult. If you haven't seen that yet, right? We've set up barriers to prioritizing our pleasure. And one of the things I talk about when I teach self-pleasure, and at this point it's been to over close to 100, 200 people have dropped into this self-pleasure practice. One of the things I feel in, right, this more structured, this more yang energy that says, I've got you self-pleasure, you go wherever you need to go. So this morning at 9 o'clock, I could have worked, which is what I wanted to do. I had an idea for something. I wanted to go and write some new content, right? And I said, no, I committed to my pussy. I committed to opening my body. I committed to my essence. And even though in this moment that feels boring or that feels disconnected or that doesn't feel like where I want to go, I'm going to set a timer and actually lie down my naked body, put on my oils, and do my practice. And what came after the practice, right? During the practice, I got to move through all my resistances. I got to stay in the spaces of, wow, where do I not want to slow down and love me? Where am I afraid to crack open my vulnerability and show myself show myself who I really am? Where am I not trusting, right? That there's no doing in this life, but this life is all about beingness. Where is my desire to continuously work stopping me from settling into the beingness, which is actually the thing that brings us wealth, that brings us back to love, that allows us these long-term, hot, juicy relationships. It's our beingness, not our doingness. And the only doingness that is needed is holding a container and prioritizing the beingness. So every time that you go to self-pleasure, you're prioritizing that beingness. You're saying, I want to raise my vibration and attune to who I truly am. And today's 12 Day of Pleasure, we talk about not just prioritization, but also creating a sex den. So I'm in my sex den right now. It's also where I create my business, because my business and sex are the same thing, right? The more orgasmic my body is, the more my pussy is alive and open, the more I can feel my nipples harden, the more that my webinars are awesome, the more client transformation that I see, the more that my groups move into new heights of who they are, the more that I pull away from that and go back into my thinking brain and go back into my fixer brain. Right? My business does not run and thrive. And I've seen this happen over and over again, to the point that now I trust that energy more than everything else. So where I self-pleasure the most is in my office. It's in my sex den. It's purple in here, there's red, it's my favorite colors, there's porn, I have some porn up here, there's books all about sex around me and beautiful art that I love to look at. I've got a hardwood floor, which is my favorite place to self-pleasure, because I like feeling the hardness against my back. I think that's me being a shapeshifter, which, if you don't know what that is yet, at Pleasure Alchemy we'll go deeper into it, but it's basically shapeshifters love to feel all the different ways of opening sexually, and like at the adventurousness of sexuality tends to fall into this more shapeshifter blueprint, right? It's one of the erotic blueprints. And so I make sure as a shapeshifter that in my office, I've got something set up energetically. I've got gemstones up here and chimes. I've got these beautiful kind of volcanic rocks that I love. I have a great surround sound in here, so I can turn on my Kundalini music and my Tantra music. And then I've got sensual, right? I've got pillows down there. I've got beautiful, like I've got this new fluffy throw that it's kind of cool now, that autumn air, and I was putting it on my body and just feeling the fur against my skin. I've got that in here. I've got porn for my sexual. I've got some really fun toys, some things that are shaped like phalluses in here, right? And all sorts of stuff. And then I've got beautiful, kinky, really hot, kinky things in here, right? It's kind of edgy, it's kind of black, it feels dark, it feels dungeony. It feels like a sex dungeon in here. And I really love that. I have a painting that I made of like hell and darkness over there. So I love that I get to play in those energies, and I bring all of these elements into my sex den so that when I am prioritizing my pleasure, right, I have everything that I can bring into my system and alchemize in my system. When I do that, my ability to tap into oneness is easier, because I'm bringing everything. Remember, oneness is everything and everything is one. And so when I give myself everything, I'm reminded of one. As a shapeshifter with this particular nervous system. Now, if you're an energetic watching, which I usually get a lot of energetics, for you, simplicity in your environment, just a few things that bring you into peace, some chimes, some gemstones, right? Just a few things, more lighter, probably lighter energy, right, in the room. If you're a sensualist, just really cozy things, but don't worry about getting kinky or porn in there or phallic shaped objects. So it's all about learning how you need to create your sex den in order to fully prioritize your pleasure, so that even though you may feel resistant at the beginning, you may feel confused, you may be like, I don't know how to do this, right? When you go into it, you get to be fully alive with what you've already gifted yourself. It's almost like walking into your sex den. That itself gets to be the self-pleasure. And for those of you that want to dive in even deeper to your self-pleasure and really understand how you can use this to create multiple six-figure businesses, how you can use this to create thriving long-term relationships, right? All of those two things I've created in my life, how to create a really awesome parenting structure out of self-pleasure, how to live against societal norms by tapping into the truth of who you are and finding your empowerment around your sexuality. That gets to happen when you come home to your own skin. And many of us have simply not been guided through self-pleasure in a way that really fulfills them sexually, in a way that really opens their nervous system. So I'm going to be able to give that to you. and guide you through that. And I'm super excited about that. It's one of my favorite things to do. I can do it with my eyes closed at this point. And there's gonna be close to 100 of you at Pleasure Alchemy. We may have more than that, we'll see, but we'll probably cap it around 100. I'd love to see you there. Tickets are going really fast. We're about halfway-ish sold out. I haven't checked the numbers in a few days. So make sure to go ahead and grab your ticket now. Know that if you're in the Pleasure Circle, you get special bonus tickets, you get awesome prizes. There's ways, if finances are an issue, there's ways to skirt around that in the Pleasure Circle. So just make sure you're in there. That's my community. That's where we talk about these topics even deeper. We go deeper into sex. We go deeper into self-pleasure and deeper into the erotic blueprints in that Pleasure Circle on Facebook. So you can go ahead and add that, and I'll also post the link so that you can all come along to Pleasure Alchemy. Come along, pun intended. And I can't wait to see you there. It's next weekend. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the 4th day of pleasure, and we're going to be doing tomorrow's 4th day of pleasure in the Pleasure Circle. So if you're not there already, dive in there. That's where you're going to get it. Okay, so make sure you're in there, and then we'll come back here for the 5th day. So you don't want to miss tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be super fucking hot. Give you another awesome pleasure and sex tip. I will see you all there tomorrow. Love you to pieces. Mwah. Enjoy prioritizing your pleasure today and creating your ultimate sex den.